We are ready to start. We're only 6 minutes past schedule. Thank you. Come on in. If there's any anxious kids that want to do art, there's a room over there they can go make some crafts, or they can settle in and enjoy the program. So I wanted to first thank everyone for coming, and my name is Jacob Tell. I am Danny's first cousin. We grew up together, and I'm honored to be here. So I wanted to first introduce Matt Dorigo, who is the Executive Director of Arts, founder and an Executive Director of Arts. And I'd love to hear a little bit about arts because it meant so much to Danny and the Riley family.
Well, welcome everyone. There's a lot of love in this room. I guess for me to tell a personal story of why arts is here and why it exists is when I was 19, same age as Danny, I was a freshman in college studying art, and both my mom and my sister were both diagnosed with cancer at the same time. And unfortunately, my mom passed away, but my sister recovered. But I took that year off and stayed at home, and every day I'd go up to my bedroom, close the door, put on the Grateful Dead, and paint. And it was my escape, and it was my therapy. And one day, towards the end of my mom's illness, it just struck me that if it worked for me, that I knew it would work for other kids like me, who are artistic and creative, who needed just an escape from whatever they were going through. And so I did a little mission statement and business plan, and then I tucked it away. And then 16 years ago is when I was finally at a place in my life when I was ready to launch it. And so it started as an outreach program, going to hospitals and homeless shelters and domestic violence shelters, working with youth who are going through various challenges, bringing art and music and kind of creativity. And then about 2007, we opened up our first art center, which was in a different location. And it was around that time that I met Frank and Maggie. And when we opened up that art center, we had all these different naming opportunities. And there was a generous donor here in San Diego that took the name of the building. And her name is Pam Wygod. And said, well, let me think about who I want to name it after. And she called me up 2 weeks later. We had lunch. And she said, I know who I want to name it after. She named it after my mom. And so it was so powerful, and I was so grateful for that. And about maybe a year later, Frank and Maggie walked through the door from the San Diego Foundation, and they told me Danny's story. And we had a music room, and it really just struck me that as he talked to me more and more about Danny and his use of music during all of his life, but particularly through his battle with cancer, and not just playing it, but listening to it, I said, this is why I started the organization. Danny really epitomizes why we started art. So no matter what, there's no money problem like I'm going to name it after Danny, because I knew what it felt like for me to have my mom's name put on something. So we named the program after Danny. And I remember Frank said, can I bring a picture down, put it on the wall? Because there's a picture of my mom there. And he's like, can I bring a picture? I'm like, yeah, bring a picture down. And he brings this big picture down that's in the room right now. I'm like, that's a lot bigger than my mom's picture. Okay. But I feel like I never met Danny. But through my relationship with Frank and Maggie and Alicia over the past 8 years, I feel like I've really got to know him. And through all of his friends and families that I've interacted with over the last few years, I'm just grateful to host today. Today, grateful to host Danny's name on that room because it brings a lot of healing and joy to a lot of kids in the community. And thank you all for being here to celebrate.
All right. So does everyone here know Danny's sister, Alicia? So we were asked to co-MC, so I said, you have to come up while I do my introduction, and I'll stay up here for yours. That's transparency right there. So I didn't really prepare anything, to be honest. I just sort of had sketched down 3 words, and I wanted to talk about Danny. And I think one of the things that I'm going to start with is just gratitude and the fact that I'm grateful to be here. Grateful to know the people in this room that I've known, and grateful for the opportunity to get to know anyone else that I haven't met. And I think it's the most important thing that Danny taught me is about living the most authentic life that we can live. Like he's, taught me that like in this moment right now, it's okay to be choked up, and it's okay for us all to experience what we need to experience. And he, no matter what, he was always in the moment with his self, with his authentic self. And that's something that I think a lot of us, myself included, struggle with is, having permission to be authentic and being okay with whatever the emotions are that come. And so I just want to thank Danny for role modeling that as like a younger brother to me throughout my life and still to this day. And then the last word is legacy, and I think we're all here to experience his legacy and something that goes well beyond music and well beyond his words that we're going to hear some of and look at the photos and everything. But he really does leave a legacy that has impressed upon so many people and will continue to. And something that I had a conversation with Frank, Danny's father, about was the fact that we get to celebrate Danny forever for the rest of our lives, and that we're going to be able to have this legacy carry on indefinitely and well beyond we're here. So thank you to Arts for starting a piece of that with the music room, and for everyone else for being here and for celebrating Danny. And I'm going to read a poem of his, which I think is appropriate for what today's about, which is music and art and life. And then you get to go. All right, saw a song is what he called it. An error occurring in my mind, I saw a song and built a time. When music squeezed hearts and notes pierced thoughts, it felt as though it was all right. World fulfilled with realized might, honesty between you and me, I saw something I'd never seen.
Thank you, Jacob. Can you guys hear me? Yes. It's so amazing to look out at all of your faces and to have this time to come together and connect. So I'm going to read this, but it was lovely to hear Jacob just speaking from the heart. So it's amazing to come together as we remember Danny and celebrate his very special light. Danny brightened each of our lives, and one of my hopes for today is that by coming together, we can support each other in reconnecting with the ways that Danny touched each of us and brought out the best in us. 10 years have passed since Danny's death, and in those 10 years, we've grown. Some of us have grown up, and some of us have grown older. And we've experienced additional losses, disappointments, feelings that life is out of our control. We've also experienced an abundance of blessings, the birth of children, new loves and commitments, new friends, new callings and joys. Along this journey, one thing that emerges as a constant is duality. With love, there is loss. With life comes death. And as hard as we might try, there's no outrunning it. Danny modeled how to live by running head-on toward life, rather than away from it. He saw at such a young age that it was futile to try to avoid or escape his experience with cancer, and that by embracing it instead, he could embrace his whole life. So our challenge is to somehow hold both sides of that duality together, with acceptance and celebration, all the while being gentle on ourselves. Music and art can be ways to process and explore the depths of emotion that come through living life. Enjoying music, making music, and sharing music were ways that Danny found hope and inspiration in the face of tremendously scary things. So today, we'll remember Danny by sharing creative inspiration through music, art, dance, and words, so that we may be hopeful and inspired and overflowing with love as we reflect on the past 10 years and embrace the future together. Before we begin, let's take a moment to fully arrive here together. Let's close our eyes and release the worries that we carried in. Let's feel the energy in the room. Each of us here is somehow connected to Danny's life and his music. We're connected to each other in a web of love and loss and inspiration. So we're safe here to be just as we are, whether that is emotional or distant, heavy or playful. It's all good here today. Okay, thank you so much for being here, and let's get started. I'd like to invite up my dad, Frank Riley, to welcome you and introduce our first piece.
There's not much that I could say about Danny that we've said before, and Jacob and Alicia said it well. In the program you have on the front, Matt, you have a Thanksgiving in Danny's words to all the people that touched him, and you should read that. It's in the program. So I'll let you read that. But my word is just simply welcome. You're going to hear other words, as Alicia said. You're going to see the way words take life through dance, through voice, through singing, and mostly you're going to share words yourself. And so what I want to do is just read something of Danny's. It's in this little book. If you don't have it, you can take one outside. It's called a prayer. And it's a prayer, but it's really a plea from Danny. And so I'm going to listen to that plea, and I'm going to answer it right now in this celebration. I'll say a prayer from the past and for the future. Waking up to the morning light, I'll think of you and remember why I say a prayer on this day, just so I could hear you say, "Don't you know me? Don't you know me by now?" I spoke of all my hopes and dreams, so feather light and full of cream, so tender, young, and full of tears. Could it surpass the years? I spent my mind and forgotten this heart that you've hinted at. I wish I could get it back. Don't you know me? Don't you know me by now? Someday we'll see. Someday we'll see. Don't forget about me. Don't forget about me. Well, we won't forget about you, Dad. And today is a time to remember you. We will always remember you. We won't forget you. We will celebrate you as we celebrate you today. People, your friends and family who knew you, and the new friends and family and who have come to know you. So let's not forget about Danny and all the loves and losses of our life, and celebrate with music, with the joy of food and a couple of nips there and now and each other's support. Thank you. As Alicia is preparing our first number, I'm going to introduce it. This is special because Danny had a song called Mountain's Edge. And I'm not a dancer myself, but I appreciate dance. And I've always wanted to see what it would be like to have some interpretive dance to this song. And so I was able to get the San Diego Dance Theater, who has a wonderful choreographer, Jean Isaacs, who's here, we asked her to do a dance to that song, and her daughter is here, who's one of the dancers. The other male dancer, I don't think, is here today. And then we figured it wouldn't really work in this space to have someone dancing on the stage, so we had it filmed. And the film editor is here, Kyle, and you're going to see a beautiful dance to Danny's song, Mountain's Edge.